Good morning. Would like to invite all of my colleagues standing over here and standing on the stand to sit down, please. We are excited to welcome everyone to this Convocation event to celebrate the accomplishments of these amazing graduates of the College of Physical and Mathematical Sciences at Brigham Young University. And I just wanted to start off by asking the question, what really is the probability that we'd be waiting for the statisticians to arrive? Thank you for your polite laughter. My name is Shane Reese, and I am the Dean of the college. The purposes of these convocation exercises is to recognize the efforts and accomplishments of each of our graduates, along with the support, sacrifice, faith, and prayers of their family members and friends, including our faculty and staff, our supportive board of trustees, and the millions of church members who have helped to make this experience possible today. We extend our warm welcome this morning to Michael R. Orm, Assistant to the President of the University and General Counsel for Brigham Young University. Mike, will you please stand and be recognized? We also recognize on the stand today the following academic leaders from our college. Will each of you please stand as I read your name? Gus Hart, Associate Dean. Jen Nielsen, Associate Dean. David Dearden, Chair, Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. Kent Siemens, representing the Department of Computer Science. Scott Ritter, representing the Department of Geological Sciences. Michael Dorff, Chair, Department of Mathematics. Blake Peterson, Chair, Department of Mathematics Education. Richard Van Fleet, Chair, Department of Physics and Astronomy. And William Christensen, the Chair of the Department of Statistics. Thank you. Others seated on the stand will be introduced as they participate in the program. We've included a bit of information about each of the participants so that you may get to know them our students a little bit better by reading their short biographies. They're amazing, and we are grateful to have them representing our incredible graduating class this year. I would like to also acknowledge the contribution of our faculty who are seated to my left. Would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Our prelude and postlude processional music today are played by Suzette Asplund, who is the wife of Professor Matt Asplund in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. Thank you, Suzette. Simi In from Budang, Korea, who is graduating cum laude with a bachelor's degree in statistics and a minor in math, will now offer our invocation.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we're grateful to gather together with our friends and family to celebrate our graduation. We're thankful for the opportunity to receive education by the gospel and the great faculties of BYU. Please bless us so that we can thrive in our future endeavors and help us to go forth and to serve. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Simi. Now, the tradition in our college would usually now afford me the opportunity to speak to the graduates and their supportive family and friends. However, fortunately for all of you, we've decided to deviate from this tradition. We will now be pleased to hear from Dr. Jennifer Nielsen, Associate Dean in this College of Physical and Mathematical Sciences. After Jen addresses us, we will have the opportunity to hear from Edward Bay Pimentel, who is graduating cum laude with a bachelor's degree in chemistry. Following Edward's remarks, we will be favored by a special musical number entitled Meditation from the opera Thais, which will be played on the viola by Koa Lani Fisher, graduating with a bachelor's degree in mathematics, and accompanied by Taylor Ventura on the piano. Jen.
So in our college, the College of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, we like to measure things. Yeah. You're scientists, mathematicians, teachers, right? Many of you have done research in your departments. You may have measured the diffraction of X-rays by a crystalline solid, or you may have made measurements of transiting extrasolar planets with the 16-inch telescope on top of the Irene Science Center. So we like to measure. In fact, some of you right now are timing how long this talk is. 8 minutes. Right? And when you're going to get to your department's graduation reception with the food. So we like to measure. Here's what we don't like. We don't like to be measured. Many of you undergrads just finished finals again, right? And at some point, again, you thought, I would enjoy my learning so much more if I didn't have to take exams. How can an exam, right, just this snapshot, this moment, catch all of the late night studying that I've done, drinking caffeine that I bought on campus, right? How can it capture, right, all of that hard studying, the sacrifices I've made, even everything that's in my brain right now while I'm taking the exam that won't come out? So we don't like to be necessarily measured. But at some point, right, in your new life, your performance or your competencies will be measured by assessments, deadlines, or other imperfect tools. And you'll have to still match those assessments. Thankfully, right, they won't be in the testing center, but you're going to have to face these. I can highly recommend a devotional actually by our Dean, Shane Reese, since he's not speaking today. Now that you have time, go watch this on BYU Speeches. It's called On the Measurements We Make in Life. And what I'd like to do today is just make 3 observations of things that I think matter about measurement as you go as scientists out into the world. So here's the first observation. Measurement is feedback. So in education, we like to talk about formative assessments and summative assessments. So a formative assessment would be like a weekly quiz. This isn't worth very many points. It gives a student feedback about their strengths, about their weaknesses, so that they can evaluate their learning to that point and close the gap. Right? A summative assessment would be more like a final, maybe a culminating group project. And this one is supposed to measure us against some kind of standard or benchmark. Right? This is the one that causes us so much anxiety. Because what does it mean if we don't measure up? What I'd like you to think about is whatever tool is being used to measure you or your competencies, could you think of it as formative? Right? What can you learn? How can it inform or inspire you, right? Empower you to make some changes? Ask, what can I learn from this? This is a growth mindset, and when you're so interested in learning and creating, you oftentimes forget to feel critiqued. Be lifelong learners. Like Fred Paulson. Fred Paulson started at BYU in 1955, majoring in mathematics, and then life happened and graduation didn't. And he went on to have a full career, a full life, learned programming, and in 2015, he met with the director of our advisement center, Shane Jorgensen, and they mapped out a plan for graduation. And Fred Paulson went back and audited classes he would need to get back up to speed for these last 3 math classes. He finished his last final in mathematics to earn his Bachelor's of Science, and today Fred Paulson is graduating at 80 years old. Fred Paulson, will you please stand up? There he is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being such an inspiring example of lifelong learning. So here's my second observation. Remember why you measure. DJ who's the first U.S. chief data scientist under President Obama, spoke at a BYU forum this last February. Data science is an interdisciplinary field in which large data sets are mined to find useful information and insights. And Dr. Patil told about using huge data sets to reform the justice system, to reduce police violence, and collectively work on genetic diseases. And in the last minute of his presentation, he pointed out to the audience, to us, that he hadn't shown us a single mathematical or stats equation through his entire presentation. Right? He'd framed all of the results in terms of the people that it was affecting. He had up on the slide, people, 2 greater than signs, data. So people are much greater than data. This is the second observation, remember? Remember why you measure. It's so that you can serve other people. President Worthen is very fond of talking to the faculty about this. And just last Friday, I heard him again. He was talking about research and teaching at BYU. And he said, if we lose sight of students, we will not succeed. We are not just educating students, we are helping them reach their divine potential. They are sons and daughters of heavenly parents. And then Elder Anderson, in a devotional just 2 weeks ago, said to all of us, speak to the one even when you're in a crowd. So just so you know, even though you've all been listening, I've been talking to the students that I know and love here, Alex and Allie and Joe. I'm glad the rest of you are here, but those are the ones that those are my ones today. So observation number 3, you can't measure the most important things. You know, the old MasterCard commercials played on this idea. Plane tickets to Virginia to surprise your best friend for her birthday, $360. The look on her face when she walks in to find you at her breakfast table, priceless. So there are limits to what we can quantitatively measure or what the measurement means. I know 6 BYU students that are tight-knit friends from high school. 5 of them were in my organic chemistry classes the last 2 semesters. They sat on the second row over here on my left. And one of them at finals last December found out that he had leukemia. But the other 5 really wanted to do something, right? And so they made T-shirts. Here's one of them. Can you see? T-shirts that say no fear, and then it has the ribbon symbol for cancer up on it. Okay? And they sold these so they could help their friend pay some of the medical bills when he was doing chemo this semester. So their friend's name, his middle name is actually No Fear. His name is Joe No Fear Davis. How do you measure, right, quantitatively, something like loyalty or friendship or love or faith? These are things that you can't put on your resume, but you need them just as much as you leave and graduate this year. So the third thing, remember, can't measure the most important things. Elder Oaks in a leadership conference last year in 2017 said, what we measure will profoundly affect what we emphasize. And I would like to add, let us not only emphasize what we can measure. So my parting thought on community. BYU for me when I was an undergraduate was something like an MTC for life, right? Yes, it was sheltered, and there was some bad food. But there was the scaffolding over which I could, right, build what my purpose and my career was going to be. So one thing I learned while I was here, and I hope you have too, is you are known. You are known to heavenly parents who care about your inner soul as well as your outer career path and talents. And now you'll be known as alumni for BYU. Everywhere you go, there's a vast network of alumni from this university. My dad in graduate school in Boston was always a little envious of the BYU grads when they showed up because they had an Insta family. He'd gone to a university a little farther north. But I want to remind you as you join this community, you have a responsibility to care not just for your own. You have to include everyone in the strength of your community. They are daughters and sons of heavenly parents too. Even your critics, even those who measure you. So learn to love them. Coretta Scott King said the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. Welcome to your next community. Thank you.
So to all of the new graduates, congratulations. Remember that there are many people who have made your education possible: donors, teachers, parents, and God. Their trust in you has set you apart. I'd like to thank all of the family and the faculty members here, and I'd especially like to thank my family and the chemistry department for making this possible. When I first transferred to BYU, I had to wait a year to become eligible for scholarship funding. To help make ends meet, I chose to work as a baker, working the graveyard shift. I would come home at 2 in the morning with a bag of leftover bagels, and then struggle to stay awake during my 8 a.m. section of general chemistry, eating my bagels for breakfast and lunch, and sometimes dinner. Since then, I've been the recipient of college and departmental scholarships. Thanks in large part to these generous donors, I haven't had to spend my nights in the bakery, although I do still love to bake. And I've been able to graduate debt-free. To them and to the many other donors who've helped to pay for our educations, I'd like to offer a heartfelt thank you. I'm also indebted to the College of Physical and Mathematical Sciences for their support of my mentored undergraduate research. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Cpms Undergraduate Research Awards, BYU has an excellent reputation for involving undergraduate students in research, and donors to the college have made it possible for students to apply for funding so that they can focus on research rather than working in a bakery. This research experience has been an incredible learning experience, and it's also been a lot of fun. And I'm sure that others who have participated in this research can similarly attest. I'd like to acknowledge a couple of my heroes who've made my education possible, who can't be here today. One of those to whom I'm indebted for my education was my great-grandfather, Jared Ward Green. Grandpa Ward grew up on a farm in Idaho. Because he was needed on the farm, he had to leave his studies at 8th grade. He regretted cutting his education short, but he didn't let it prevent him from continuing to learn. And he worked hard to ensure that each of his children would have the educational opportunities he didn't have. For years later, he would wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning to study business and accounting through correspondence colleges until the family awoke, ultimately completing a high school diploma and becoming an accountant. He later moved to California and chose to live in Berkeley and commute to his work across the bay so that his children could take advantage of the free tuition that was then offered at that time to in-state residents attending UC Berkeley. His unwillingness to let his 8th grade education keep him or his children from learning has inspired me to make education a priority in my life, and his descendants now hold well over 50 college degrees. Another of my heroes to whom I'm indebted is a man named Lucius Lucian Nunn. He was a hydroelectric tycoon in the 19th century, and coincidentally, he built the first hydroelectric facility on the Provo River, a 44,000-volt facility, the largest in America at the time, and he did it in order to light Provo's street lamps. In addition to his successful career in hydroelectric engineering, Nunn was a passionate educator and a visionary who felt that it was his duty not just to provide his employees with excellent engineering skills, but with a comprehensive education. The connection to me is that his legacy was an endowment which funded my education before I transferred to BYU. I bring him up because his writings have given me a vision of what my education has meant. His dream was that each of his students would use the education given to them to become a leader and a servant of humanity. He said to a group of students at his college in the California desert, "Gentlemen, for what came ye into the wilderness? Not for conventional scholastic education, not to become proficient in commercial or professional pursuits for personal gain. You came to prepare for a life of service with the understanding that superior ability and generous purpose would be expected of you." This noble sentiment is echoed in BYU's motto, "Enter to learn, go forth to serve." Each of you new graduates has been blessed by countless individuals, some of whom you know and some of whom you will never know. The sacrifices they have made have laid a solemn responsibility upon you to lead a life of service, knowing that superior ability and generous purpose will be expected of you as you lift up the lives and the hearts of humans everywhere. I'm grateful to BYU and the singular institution of the College of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, and I plan to take that gratitude with me as I continue my studies and use the education with which I've been blessed to stretch the human capacity through chemistry and to serve those who need my help. I'd like to conclude with the words of Jesus Christ. In Matthew chapter 16, Jesus said unto his disciples, "Whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it." Christ sacrificed his life to enable us to have this learning experience here on earth, and his invitation is to go forth and serve. By accepting his sacrifice, we commit to bearing the burdens of others, figuratively losing our lives in service. May we see this milestone of graduation as a beginning rather than an end. It is our turn to go forth and serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Koa and Taylor, for that beautiful number. Also, thank you, Jen and Edward, for your remarks. They were perfect for today. We will now be pleased to hear from Hannah Bonner, who is graduating summa cum laude with a bachelor's degree in geological sciences. And if you want to read a little bit more about Hannah, she's on the front page of the university's website. Following Hannah's remarks, we will then be pleased to hear from Courtney Ballard, who is graduating with a bachelor's degree in mathematics education. Hannah.
I am so humbled and grateful to be addressing you today. And as I've considered what I wanted to talk about, I'm hoping that by sharing 3 experiences from my undergraduate experience, that I can illustrate a common pattern that we see both as college students and in our wider lives. And I hope by sharing these stories that you can relate, and likewise that from learning from my mistakes, we can go forward together with a brighter and a fresher perspective on life. So my first experience is bombing a test. As an undergraduate in the geology program, you take a sophomore's field studies course administered, and one of the weeks is administered by Dr. Tom Morris. And I remember when he handed out this test, as I looked at it, I was filled with horror. And I realized that my inability to answer literally any of the questions on the sheet surely was the doom of my potential as a geologist. And so I stared at it for like the allotted 20 minutes, and I turned it in with utter nonsense written on it. And I remember as I turned in the test, I mumbled something pathetic to Dr. Morris, like, I don't know what I was thinking, I don't know anything, I don't think I'm cut out to be a geologist. And his response was very quick and very direct. He exclaimed, "So what? You weren't perfect at something? I make my test hard on purpose so that my students can experience failure." Like, oh, great. So I walked away and, kind of was mulling over that. And I realized that, you know what? He was right. It was ridiculous to base my entire potential as a geologist on this one test, but that I could learn from this failure and I could move forward. And in that moment, my perspective shifted. And in case you're wondering, like Dr. Reese said, I'm graduating as a geologist, so I wasn't doomed by that test. My second experience is losing a large chunk of hair. One of my very favorite undergraduate courses is the canyoneering course taught by the Recreation Management Department. I loved it, but there was one distinct moment when I felt everything but affection towards canyoneering. I was on a canyoneering trip, and because of some bad rappelling form on my part, a large piece of hair from about right here on my scalp fell forward and was caught in a rappelling device. And it really, really hurt. And I was about 15 feet off the ground when this happened. Luckily, my classmates had used the setup we'd learned in the course that allowed you to lower someone who got stuck. Unfortunately, the way we'd set up the rope, it was a very, very slow lowering process. And so, about 12 feet off the ground, pain was escalating. I was like, get me down. The rappel device was right here. About 10 feet off the ground, the pain mysteriously stopped. And about 6 feet off the ground, I was able to set on the shoulders of one of my classmates, finally detach, and learn why the pain had mysteriously stopped. As I pulled off the rappel device, my entire piece of hair came with it. It had been ripped out by the roots, leaving about a $50 bald spot right here in the forehead. And so there I was standing with this piece of hair in my hands, just trying to process what had happened. And my classmate cheerily exclaimed, "Wow, what a great opportunity to practice emergency lowering." At first I was outraged. I'm like, I have a bald spot in my forehead. And that's all you can think about? But I thought about it for a second, and I realized that, yes, this could either be a terrible tragedy or this could be a hilarious learning opportunity. And in that moment, once again, my perspective shifted, and I was able to learn about securing your hair properly and better rappelling form. And I guess you could say my perspective shifted even a second time because I actually ended up dating that cheery classmate. My third experience, unfortunately, oh wait, I should mention too, you can't tell with like the cap on, but my hair did grow back. I applied like some bald man serum and it works wonders. My third experience, unfortunately, is not quite as happy. My third experience is failing to diagnose a heart attack. During my junior year, I volunteered as an EMT at a free healthcare clinic, and one day a man came in who had very unusual vital signs. His heart rate was very slow, his pulse pressure was very narrow, and so I dutifully made note on his assessment form and then sent him to the waiting room to see the doctor. About 30 minutes later, I watched in horror as that same man was wheeled out in a stretcher to a waiting ambulance. He had been having a heart attack in the very moment I had been assessing him. And I mean, in retrospect, yes, obviously those vital signs were key indicators of that. But because I'd been so caught up in the routine, I'd missed noticing and had actually delayed him from receiving critical medical care. As you can imagine, I felt so guilty and so remorseful. And my supervisor, perhaps seeing my distress, approached me and said something very kind and very firm. She said, "Don't let this experience eat at you. Rather, learn from it and know that because of it, you will never make the same mistake again." And as she spoke to me, I felt a small upwelling of hope. Rather than condemning my mistake, condemning myself, I could learn from this and I could come away better and wiser. Unfortunately, the man did live and he did make a full recovery. However, I think in all three of these stories, we see a common pattern. Whether it was my professor, my classmate, or my supervisor, they all helped me in overcoming a moment of obstacle by changing my perspective. And we see the Savior himself do this. As he's about to leave his apostles to be arrested, tried, and crucified, he gives them a beautiful promise. He says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." I think we can all relate to experiences like the ones I've shared, or feelings like the ones the apostles must have been experiencing. But when we're experiencing those things, when we're feeling those emotions, there is great power in shifting our perspective. President Kimball said, "If we looked at mortality as the whole of existence, then pain, sorrow, failure, and short life would be calamity. But if we look upon life as an eternal thing, stretching far into the premortal past and on into the eternal post-death future, then all happenings may be put in proper perspective." As both Christ told his apostles and President Kimball states, the choice to move forward despite challenges is a choice enabled by our Savior and his atonement. It comes through a perspective defined by our belief in repentance and salvation. Right now, we will continue to face major life transitions, uncertainties, and huge decisions. But as Dr. Morris told me, we are here to be imperfect and to fail. As my canyoneering classmate reassured, we are likewise here to support one another and to learn from both our and others' mistakes. And as my supervisor at the healthcare clinic affirmed, even when we fall short, even when it seems we have made a crippling and debilitating failure, it's not too late. We can move forward and become wiser and stronger. I testify to you today that the atonement of Jesus Christ is stronger than any shortcoming, any failure, any mistake, or any trial. That because of our sure knowledge of his redemption, we can move forward with the most enabling perspective of all. The perspective that because of Jesus Christ, we can always view the world with hope, with courage, and with love. Thank you.
I did not want to come speak after that. That was amazing. That was really good. Hannah, I've definitely bombed a test or two while here, but I've never lost a chunk of hair. So she's got me beat on that one. So first of all, I want to congratulate all you guys on making it here today. Whether you enjoyed every single second of it or not, like me, you were here. So good job to all of you. So today, I've been asked to speak on one of the ways the College of Mathematical and Physical and Sciences transformed my life. So to be completely honest, I would not be standing here today without their aid. In order to understand the extent to how they helped me, I need to tell you a little bit about my journey here today. A year and a half ago, I was hospitalized because of an undiagnosed mental illness. After this hospitalization, I tried to get back into classes the next semester. However, since I had not fully recovered, I withdrew from all my classes and I had to quit my job at the BYU math lab, which I loved. Many of my fellow math lab mates are in the audience today. It was a very difficult time in my life, but eventually I gained enough strength to overcome it, and I could enroll in classes again the following year, so a year after my hospitalization. Once I was back in school, I proudly carried my passion for teaching mathematics with no income in my pockets. My first semester back at school, I received an email about a scholarship that was offered to students in my practicum class. Because of my previous experiences and my inability to work, money was tight, very tight. As life goes, I read the deadline wrong, and I thought the scholarship application was due a month later than it actually was. So I filled out the entire application and then realized it was due a month before, so I just turned it in anyways, hoping a miracle would happen. So then just a few hours later, I received an email saying the scholarship was already awarded to someone. I couldn't be upset. It was my own fault. I read the deadline wrong. So my husband and I, we continued to have many serious financial discussions and tearful prayers. About a month after I applied for that scholarship, Dr. Peterson, this man right there, he called me into his office during my first class of the day. He handed me a letter and he told me to open it. Somehow, the College of Mathematical and Physical Sciences had heard my story of struggle and gathered donations from multiple sources to provide a scholarship for me. Dr. Peterson can testify, tears immediately started flowing from down my face. It's so easy to feel forgotten or like a number here at BYU, but at this moment, I felt love and hope for my future. So I'm not sure who all helped me get this scholarship. I know it was more than one person, though. Someone read my application and listened to my story, even though I submitted it a month later than it was due. My scholarship was awarded through multiple donations, and I'm not sure where they all came from, but thank you. Thank you to everyone who donates to this school in some way. Thank you for changing families' lives for the better. Thank you for being an answer to many tearful prayers. My life has drastically changed since I received this scholarship. Since my hospitalization, I don't handle stress very well, and I'm certain I would not be standing here today without this scholarship. Because of this scholarship, I was able to focus all my energy on one of my greatest passions, which is teaching mathematics. I had the time and energy to be the best teacher I could be for my students. Many individuals work together to make a drastic difference in my life. After this graduation, it's our turn to give back. You guys have the opportunity now to be the difference in a student's life. You can be the answer to a student's tearful prayers. You can be that person. You've heard my story, but each person, including you, has their own story and their own struggle. This ceremony today marks the beginning of a new opportunity. We now have the opportunity to be the beacon of hope for the next generations of scientists, mathematicians, and teachers. As was stated yesterday and earlier today, we have all entered to learn, and now it is our time to go forth to serve. Thank you, and congratulations to all of you.
Courtney, we're glad you're here with us today as well. And Hannah, your repelling story reminds me of one of my favorite mathematical formula, and that's that crisis plus time equals humor. We are now pleased to present the graduates. Those who receive the PhD degree will have their PhD hood placed upon them by their graduate advisor and their department chair. We will present diplomas first to those who receive their PhD, followed by the master's degrees, then by the bachelor's degree recipients. Names of the master's and bachelor's degree recipients will be read by Dr. Michael Jones and Dr. Matt Linford. As the master's and bachelor's degree recipients are recognized, in order to give each graduate an appropriate recognition to receive and to respect and dignify this occasion, we ask that you please hold your applause until all graduates from each department has had their names read. Please do not cheer or use noisemakers for an individual graduate, as that may interfere with the recognition due to the next graduate in line. We also wish to be sensitive to those graduates who may have no family members present to cheer for them. Following the applause for each department's graduates, I would ask the department chair to announce the time and place of the receptions for their graduates, families, and friends. In addition, the front row here is reserved and available for you to take pictures of your graduate. The space is limited to about 20 people at a time. Please wait for until your student has advanced in line before coming to the front row, and please follow the instructions of the ushers in order to facilitate an orderly process. In advance, I want to apologize for any mispronunciations, not on names, but on the degrees. These are some impressive things coming your way. From the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, Bradley C. Naylor. Brad is receiving his PhD in biochemistry. Brad was the first PhD student to join Dr. John C. Price's laboratory at BYU. As such, he has carried heavy responsibilities for setting up instruments and establishing research directions for everyone in the lab. A particular merit during the 4 years Brad has been a member of the lab, he has created a suite of software tools which facilitate the data analysis and make streamlined data workflow for the kinetic proteomics techniques that the Price Lab has developed. His automation increases speed and the accuracy by reporting confidence intervals, something near and dear to my heart, and data precision for the millions of individual measurements in each experiment. This effort has been truly transformative for everyone in the Price Lab and collaborators across the world who want to do kinetic proteomics. In 4 short years, Brad has helped publish 4 papers with 2 more in preparation, a really outstanding achievement for a biochemistry student. Brad's work will continue to grow in importance with time as other labs recognize the importance of kinetic proteomics information and use his tools. As his next step after BYU, Brad has accepted a postdoctoral position at the University of Utah. Congratulations, Brad. Derek Sean Felly. As everything else in nature, stars are born and also die. High-mass stars drive the chemical evolution of the interstellar medium from which the next generation of stars and planets will form. Therefore, understanding the evolution of these stars is key to understanding our galaxy. The final stages of stellar evolution are not well understood due to the lack of specific, detailed observations and the analysis of intermediate stages. On his dissertation titled The Morphology and Uniformity of Circumstellar OH H2O Masers Around OH IR Stars, Dr. Derek Felly observed maser emission that traced the molecular shell structure around laser-type stars. The study revealed detailed structure that was analyzed for uniformity in order to place constraints on how the mass loss process behaves in models. A newer and more effective computational technique was developed to analyze the data and to determine more precisely the thickness of the shells and how this affects the mass loss process. The results will lead to the refinement of present models and a deeper understanding of the processes and time scales. Congratulations, Dr. Feldy. Blaine M. Harker. Blaine has developed new signal processing methods to understand the noise produced by turbulence in jets. His research will be used to help improve military operations and protect the hearing of military personnel. Along the way, Blaine helped lead complex noise measurements of the F-35 explosions and the most powerful rocket motor ever built. Blaine received Air Force, NASA, and BYU fellowships to support his research, and has been recognized with a number of additional awards, such as the Institute of Noise Control Engineering's Award for Excellence in Noise Control Studies. Blaine has also authored or co-authored more than 10 refereed publications, with more in preparation. Blaine and his wife Allie recently moved to Newport, Rhode Island, where he is employed as a research scientist at the Naval Undersea Warfare Center. Congratulations, Blaine. We will now present the awards for the master's degree and bachelor's degrees.
Receiving master's degrees in chemistry and biochemistry, Stephen Kyle Butler. This concludes our master's degrees in chemistry and biochemistry.
Receiving master's degrees in computer science, Christopher Robert Anderson. Jane Elizabeth Ostergar Lynn. Jessica Ampuero Greenland. Candace Lusk. Parker Chase Lusk, husband of Candace Lusk, graduating with a master's degree, Master's of Science in Electrical Engineering. Alan Lloyd Dayton. Curtis Wigington. Charles Christopher Alder. Derek James Brenton. Vishnava Nadarayan. This concludes our master's degrees in computer science.
Receiving master's degrees in geological sciences, Rebecca Esplin. Caitlin Marie Smith. Robert Corbin Lewis. Dustin Sean Northrup. Jeffrey W. Ritter. Amy Catherine Ritter, sister of Jeffrey W. Ritter, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Communications Disorders. Kevin L. Stewart, Jr. This concludes our master's degrees in geological sciences. Receiving master's degrees in mathematics, Nicholas Guy Larson. This concludes our master's degrees in mathematics. Receiving master's degrees in mathematics education, Don M. White Barson. This concludes our master's degrees in mathematics education.
Receiving master's degrees in physics and astronomy, Michael Hunter Dennison. Travis Nathan Hoyt. Kevin Robert Laughlin. Kelly Fredrickson Suko. Sarah Marie Young. This concludes our master's degrees in physics and astronomy. Receiving master's degrees in statistics, David Benjamin Arthur. Benjamin Wyatt Clegg. Gavin Quinn Collis. Christopher Browning Dixon. Michaela Marie Johnson. Katie Ann Larson. David Alexander Lowe. Graduating cum laude, Brenton Daniel Mabey. Sean Alexander Minor. Graduating magna cum laude, Sierra Pugh. Graduating cum laude, Angela Teuscher. This concludes our master's degrees in statistics.
Receiving bachelor's degrees in chemistry and biochemistry, Fernando Enrique Amaya. Erin Cecilia Hunt. Nathan Dexter Keys. Blake Lars Christensen. James Curtis Coombs III. Dalton Reed Perry. Si Yoon Im. Christopher James Biggs. Alexander James Farnsworth. Garrett Austin Bourne. Kayla Thorson Bixler. Stephanie Smith. Colin Morris Stocksdale. Erin Renee Blackford, wife of Colin Morris Stocksdale, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Sociology. Michael A. Roosh. Graduating cum laude, Edward Bay Pimentel. Emily Ann McMurray. Larry Keith Hakey. John Alexander James. Blake Aaron Scullen. Eric Joseph Evans. Chase Mitchell Swap. Benjamin David Rencher. Brittany Marie Rencher, wife of Benjamin David Rencher, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Communications Disorders. Colton Michael Crother. Graduating magna cum laude, David Ray Wilcox. Scott Anthony Weber. Ryan Andrew Smith. Tanya Marie Nance. Graduating cum laude, Ryan James Stenquist. Alan Kuachia Chung. Graduating cum laude, Maxwell Karsten Beers. Taylor Powers Barr. Aaron Lucas Zog. Gloria Louise McGoy. Devin Carl Overson. Spencer McConkey Sarger. Devin Harvey Crump. Daniel Fred Thurston. Mackenzie Page Bayless. This is a master's degree in chemistry. Matthew Michael Bales, husband of Mackenzie Page Bales, graduating with a master's of science in civil engineering. Graduating cum laude, Jason John Calvin. Graduating cum laude, Paul Joshua Hurst. Erin Elizabeth Martinez. Scott Smith. Lorenzo Young Seraphine. Kelby Spencer Young. Allison Lynn McCormick. Taylor Marie Dabb. This concludes our bachelor's degrees in chemistry and biochemistry.
We congratulate all of our graduates and all of you, and we thank you for sharing these wonderful students with us for a short time. We'll have a celebration and a reception in their honor in W170 Benson, more popularly known as the Benson Fishbowl, immediately following this convocation. Thank you.
Receiving bachelor's degrees in computer science, Connor Christofferson. Tyler Gerald Etchart. In-hyuk Kim. Jonathan Lee Nielsen. Chelsea Ann Nielsen, wife of Jordan Lee Nielsen, graduating with a bachelor's degree in psychology. Dantley Pierce Rogers. Nathan Charles McGrew. Laureen Ashley McGrew, wife of Nathan Charles McGrew, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Wellness. Daniel Craig Allen. Brenna Louise Allen, sister of Daniel Craig Allen, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Food Science. Brian Roy Dawson. Graduating magna cum laude, James Kenneth McKeever. Braden Scott Hitchcock. Joshua Timothy Lyons. Trevor Craig Savage. Nathan Cole Fox. Patrick Douglas Mock. Trevor Lind Rydalch. Tyler Joseph Bowers. Jacob Paul Cameron. Reg Michael Ballard. Alexander Reed Gunnarsson. Brandon Deere Blatter. Matthew Tyler Rich. Zachary Coombs Ormond. Matthew Daniel Lloyd. David Randall Osler. Digan Richard Holbrook. Benjamin Nathaniel Nelson. Margaret Angel Nelson, wife of Benjamin Nathaniel Nelson, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Family Life. Benjamin Nelson DeMann. Michael Charles Porritt. Nathan Tyler Fitch. David A. Call. Grant Lubeck. Joseph Douglas Davison. Jordan Dean Chipman. Melanie Lamson. Trevor Austin Lynn. Isaac Joseph Alvarado. Kevin Stephen Liu. Michael Kenneth Pratt. Manuel Gustavo Marcus Aragon. William James Jones. Jesse Austin Robinson. Aubrey Marie Keeler, fiancée of Daniel Alexander Saunders, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Anthropology. Daniel Alexander Saunders. Jasmine Bellatacchio Carson. Ashley Hurst. Jung-Hyun Choi. Graduating cum laude, Alexander Reed Williams. Calvin Robert McMurray. Elijah Nikolai Mikaele Akina Kione Gerber Kai, graduating magna cum laude. Thaddeus David Crockett. Adam David Charlton. Maxwell Alexander Clemens. Stephen Michael Brown. Graduating cum laude, Jacob Paul Davis. Brandon Terry Bingham. Dylan Manning Rowe. Mark Malin Hall. Jessica Lee Hall, wife of Mark Malin Hall, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in General Studies. Travis Allen Gongler. Graduating cum laude, Victor Mafra Lazaro. Rachel Ann Bingochia. Graduating summa cum laude, Andrew Wiley Hale. Graduating cum laude, Christian Martin Ribaldi. Sean Asik George. John Robert Larson. Graduating summa cum laude, Casey Kent Davis. Blaine David Backman. Joshua Randall Nelson. Adam Mark Burdett. Timna Katuka Ramraj. Graduating cum laude, Elise Christy Wiseman. Graduating magna cum laude, Mitchell Bradley Clements. Catherine Rasmussen Chelson. Adam Christopher Thompson. Michael Jeffrey Gardenier. James Charles Wheatley. Graduating cum laude, Alexander James Ward. Spencer Patrick Olson. Jonathan Barry Skaggs. Jonathan David Gleason. Colton Curtis Pearson. William Wyatt Earnshaw. Adam G. Riley. Michael Allen Debuse. Scott Jordan Christensen. Sean Gregory Brown. Elisa Kate Haroldson. Molly Heiner Barrett. Kaylee Mon Jones. David Thomas Osler. Rebecca Chio Peterson. Alexander Damar Batchi. Michaela Ressler Batchi, wife of Alexander Damar Batchi, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Family Life. Peyton John Fawcett. Eric Bruce Siemens. Michael Town. Graduating cum laude, Ji Han Tsai. Graduating magna cum laude, Chun Yu Alan Liao. Aaron S. Cheung. Zachary Allen Magleby. Todd Richard Clausen. Benjamin David Carlisle. Andrew Kiyotaka Luke. Tyler Craig Rasmussen. Brian Tak Yan Tiu. Ji Hoon Park. Weaverson Guedos dos Santos. That concludes our bachelor's degrees in computer science.
Thank you. On behalf of the faculty and staff of the Computer Science Department, I want to congratulate our students and thank you for your contributions to BYU. We invite you and your family and friends to join us in a reception in the lobby of the Talmadge Building immediately following these proceedings.
Receiving bachelor's degrees in geological sciences, Blake Joseph Steves. Austin Dwayne Bertosh. Amelia Jepson. Caitlin Jean Weldon. Hannah Marguerite Bonner. Rodney Ryan Chadburn. Stephen Thomas Hood. Joseph H. Tolworthy. Claire Elaine Ashcraft. This concludes our bachelor's degrees in geological sciences.
Likewise, would like to congratulate the graduates today and their families. Appreciate your contributions to the department. We're proud of you. We will hold a reception in your honor in this building, room 3223, immediately after the services. Thank you.
Receiving bachelor's degrees in mathematics, Seth Eric Polson. Aubrey McKay Polson. Tyler Darius Karazi. Graduating cum laude, Courtney Stevens. Judson Christensen Stevens, husband of Courtney Megan Hoagland Stevens, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Amanda Louise Hirschman. Brianna Dawn Leva. Rachel Darlene Newell. Madeline Ella May. Graduating magna cum laude, Ryan Austin Keck. Koalani Fisher. Makani Lane Fisher, brother of Koalani Fisher, graduating with a Master's of Science in Biology. Graduating cum laude, Joseph Wilcox Ward. Andrew N. Carr. John Mitchell Probst. Graduating magna cum laude, Martha Grace Maurice. Crystal Esperanza Murphy. Brinley Polson. Bryn Balls Barker. David Joseph Passy Jr. Ujin Kim. Mitchell Eric Salisbury. Okay. Tori Ann Salisbury. Joaquin Euquin John Cowley, wife of Stephen Holmes Cowley, graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education, and Stephen Holmes Cowley. Fred Martel Polson Jr. Jacob Paul Heiner. Sydney Ann Thompson. Catherine Palmer. Bailey Michelle Smith. Juan Sebastián Rodríguez Vera. Michael Tyler Moncur. Benjamin Stanley Jaffick. Matthew Paul Schelling. Connor James Robertson. Elliot Morgan Brown. Michelle Shung Russell. Mikkel Elizabeth Stoffer. Maria Antonia Fabiano. Kira June Buck. John Ross Wilson, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Economics. Graduating magna cum laude, Dane Scott Grundvig. Graduating cum laude, Sarah Renee Triplett. Sydney Ann Freelove Bjork, sister of Sarah Renee Triplett, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Family History Genealogy. This concludes our bachelor's degrees in mathematics.
We congratulate all the graduates, and the math department will have a reception immediately following the convocation ceremonies in 3220 of this building, straight up on the third floor. Thank you.
Receiving bachelor's degrees in mathematics education. Graduating magna cum laude, Nathan Samuel Smith. Graduating cum laude, Lara Laree Eddington. Catherine Ann Davis. Alicia Marie Henninger. Marley Danae Hatch. Perry Nielsen Jacobson. Shelby Lee Dusnup. Misato Bates. Heather Elizabeth Quakenbush. Courtney Danielle Ballard. Kelly Eddington. Allison Elaine Anderson. H. Jeff Hilton. Maury Robert Dunlap. Krista Lee Tenney. Amberly Elizabeth Eustach. Nicholas Stephen Eustach. This concludes our bachelor's degrees in mathematics education.
On behalf of the Department of Mathematics Education, we'd like to congratulate our graduates. We're excited for the opportunity they'll have to influence the lives of many young people. Immediately following this convocation, we will have a reception. We would like to invite the family and friends of our graduates to come to the math lab right after this convocation.
Receiving bachelor's degrees in physics and astronomy, Lauren Elizabeth Hindman. Joseph Michael Chandler. Brittany Tasha Pratt. Emily Ann Laughlin. Felicity Faye Nielsen. Ethan Arza Welch. Emily Amanda Welch. Jeffrey Allen Schmidt. David Franklin Van Komen, Tyler Thane Hopkin, Jesse Alden Richmond, William Jared Oldroyd, Ryan Gary Dole, Cassidy Aaron Bodley, Megan Jean Drennan, Rebecca Ann Folsom Hadfield, Wesley Robert Morgan, David J. Buckley, graduating cum laude, Devin Patrick Shields, Jared Carl Hammer, Camden Rachel Jones, Megan Christina Morganson, Daniel Orton Lynn, Rachel Ann Anderson, Mitchell Clark Anderson, husband of Rachel Ann Anderson, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Economics. Christian Dennis Clay, Seth Daniel Price, Sean Michael Pierce, graduating summa cum laude, Scott Leland Crossan, graduating magna cum laude, John Ryan Peterson, Rochelle Larson, Lance Tracy Fouts, Alexander James Rasmussen, Maria Barfus Rasmussen, wife of Alexander James Rasmussen, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Wellness. Hiram J. Richardson, Mitchell Grant Klingo, Andrew Hernandez, Kier Alex Ashby, Heather Longstaff Hogue, Stephen Merrill Hogue, Trent Stewart Furlong, Stephen Sutton Cotter, Michael Allen Carlson, Lily Ann Hamill Carlson, wife of Michael Allen Carlson, graduating in computer science. Carson J. Evans, Kirsten Ann McGee Evans, wife of Carson J. Evans, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Public Health. Stephen Sue Boak Wade Magard. This concludes our bachelor's degrees in physics and astronomy.
I would like to congratulate all the graduates today, and especially the graduates in physics and astronomy, and remind them of our graduation event. It starts about 10:15 with a demo show, a luncheon, and then ends with the planetarium show. If you did not RSVP for the demo or planetarium show, please check in, as they're kind of at capacity, but there may still be some room. Thank you.
Receiving bachelor's degrees in statistics. Krista Robinson Aquino. Caroline Bradford Hilton. Benjamin Clark Tingy. Graduating cum laude, Celeste Ingersoll. Amy Jeanette Maddox. Rachel Anna Marie Randall. Bradley Boyd Bradford. Brandon Michael Campbell. Jason Kenneth Richards. Graduating magna cum laude, Mary Castro. Holly Taylor Hakes. Braden Gerard Fivas. Garrett Timothy Hayward. Philip Lewis Woods. Daniel Aaron Pruitt. Scott Gregory Greenberg. Dean Allen Sobchak. Sierra Ashley Prudencio. Elisa Bryn Cooley Beck. Jonathan Lee Lyon. Mason Vaughn Blackham. Graduating magna cum laude, Gavin Devon Ritchie. Adrienne Marie Ritchie, wife of Gavin Devon Ritchie, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Russian. Cameron Richard Kaiser. Nastasia Van Leuven Osborne. Peyton Michael Halls. Graduating cum laude and with university honors, Marion Elaine Strong. Colton Russell Sammons. AJ Torgeson. Simi M. Emily Elizabeth Startup. Larissa Shupi. Nicole Whitehead. Troy David Whitehead. Dylan Jeffrey Young. Whitney Robin Ware. Michelle Elizabeth Barnett. Alexandra Lynn Days. Albert Randolph Days IV. Vanessa Nicole Days, wife of Albert Randall Days IV, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Family Life. Nicholas Sean Mina. Connor Ramsey McRae. Graduating magna cum laude, Nathaniel Thomas Jenkins. Dane Owen Bloxham. Spencer Sam Seeger. Bradley Robert Stevenson. Marilise Oberholzer. Emily Rose Gatenby. Connor Van Rockwood. Eric G. Lynn. Forrest Everett Feitenhauer. Colwyn M.B. Weisinger. Sarah Faith Hodgson. Alexandria Eve Gale. Ian McAllister Lake. Van Tate Johansson. Caleb Craig Pulsifer. Adriana Pulsifer, wife of Caleb Craig Pulsifer, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Wellness. Ty Bradford Skousen. Graduating magna cum laude, Jeremy Matthew Meyer. Joshua Kinji Sherman. Graduating with University Honors, Alexander Joseph Whedon. Austin Copley McMullen. Nicole Kaylee Vanderwerken. Samantha Christine Scarr. Tyler Donald Can. Megan Teresa Gilchrist. Matthew Ray Drews. Michelle Christine Allen, wife of Nathan Adam Allen, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Family Life. Nathan Adam Allen. Victoria Lynn Koopmans. Aaron Camille Marshall. Christopher Eldon Bollinger. Ni Run John Batre. Samuel Ross Gish. Brian Jr. Powell. Derek S. Hyde. Colin Dallas Hatch. Eric Richard Newfer. Joseph Ira Cannon. Colton James Weaver. Jessica Ann Hill. Austin J. Hill, husband of Jessica Ann Hill, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Economics. Caitlin Ann Schindler. Olivia Claire Lighton. Paxton Cole Fisher. Jorgen Spafford Sumption. Tyler Jeffrey Willardson. Ashley D. Nielsen, fiancée of Tyler Jeffrey Willardson, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Wellness. Joseph D. Cook. Thomas Wellesley Day. Landon D. Swalberg. Austrinia Su Bu An T. Ro. That concludes our bachelor's degrees in statistics.
On behalf of the faculty and staff in the Department of Statistics, congratulations to our graduates. We're proud of you. We're grateful for the great contributions you've made to the department. We'll be having a reception in your honor for you and your family and friends in room 3228 of this building. It's just one level up from where we are here, right after the convocation.
Graduates, congratulations. I would like you to take just a moment, all of you graduates here today, to stand up right now. And I want you to turn around and I want you to look at all the people that supported you to get there, and I want you to give them an applause for being here today. Thank you. It's been a wonderful day. It's now my opportunity to make a few closing remarks. After I attended the university honors graduation celebration yesterday, university commencement exercises yesterday, and now our college convocation today, there's been a clear underlying theme that applies to three phases of what we're facing today. The first phase, graduates. As you look to the past in reflection on your experience at BYU, may you do so with a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for your friends, your family, the faculty, and your Father in heaven for their sacrifice, gifts, and love that helped you get here today. Second phase, as you celebrate your current situation, do so with joy and soberness. And the third phase, as you leave here today and work on solving the world's problems, and indeed, some of the world's problems will be solved by some of you here today. Do so with a constant eye on your intelligence to arrogance ratio. Forge ahead simultaneously with confidence and with meekness, and be full of light. I pray the Lord Joyce's blessings on you as you do so. Now, today's graduation would not be a success without the hard work of our students and of our convocation staff. And those are due in large part to Shane Jorgensen, Director of the College Advisement Center, his assistant, Brooke Anderson, Kim Jenkins, and the many students working in our office who have provided so much support. Please join us in recognizing them as they stand. Now, with so many graduates, you may feel a little exhausted and in need of a little pick-me-up. My understanding is that the nature of liquid refreshment on this campus may have changed a bit since you arrived here last time. So enjoy. We ask the audience to remain seated after the closing prayer until the graduates and faculty have completed their exit from this room. After they have exited, we invite you to meet your graduate in the garden court area just behind us. By meeting in the garden court area, you'll help us keep the hallway clear for those trying to pass through that area. We remind the graduates that rented gowns and hoods should be returned soon afterward to the upper level of the BYU store. And hold on for a second. As an added incentive, those returning their gowns and hoods to the BYU store will receive a free alumni license plate cover. Yeah. If any of you are unsure of the location of your student's reception, the various receptions are listed on the back of your program. The closing prayer will now be offered by Mitchell Eric Salisbury, who has just graduated cum laude with a bachelor's degree in mathematics. Mitchell.
Our dear Father in heaven, we appreciate the grand opportunity we've had to come here to BYU and to be blessed by the service of the faculty, of our fellow students, and to be able to grow through our trials and through our successes here. Please help us that as we go out and into our work, into our families, into further schooling, that we'll be able to have a mind towards the ethics that we've learned while we are here, and be guided by personal revelation. We need Thee and we need Thy Spirit. Please help us not forget the lessons that we've learned while we are here, and the friends either. We love Thee and ask Thee that we'll be able to have enjoyable celebration the rest of the day. And say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.